If you're looking for a video that describes how to create interesting, visually impactful, and exciting animated emotes on Twitch, then this is the video for you. I'm going to go step by step to show you the software that I use, the end result of the animated emotes, and the requirements you need to meet when creating animated GIFs for the Twitch platform for your live streams. It's a great way to give community members additional value, and viewers get to be a part of those moments and really pop off in the chat with these exciting emotes that we're going to create. So without further ado, let's dive right in. To get started with animated emotes on Twitch, just understand that there's a few requirements that you have to meet. In the animated emotes, when you're going to upload them, there's a few requirements such as must be square shaped, has to be in .gif format, cannot be higher than 1 megabyte in size, it has to have a resolution of 112 by 112 pixels all the way up to 4096 by 4096, and it cannot be more than 60 frames. So the software we're going to use to create this animated emote for Twitch is going to be Adobe After Effects. If you don't have After Effects, just make sure that you're adhering to these upload guidelines and restrictions and requirements. I'm going to use the following settings in a new composition. So I'm either going to click this icon or click on Composition, New Composition, or Control N on PC. I want to set my file up with 112 pixels by 112 pixels in width and height. I want to have a frame rate of 25. Resolution can be full, quarter, whatever you like, whatever helps you get through the file. The start time code is going to be 0 seconds, and the duration is going to be 2 seconds with 10 frames at the end. Background color in my case doesn't matter because I'm not really using any footage that has transparency. If yours does, you may consider something different. I'm going to hit OK. And something I want to speak to that you're not going to see here is that Twitch has this cool feature that your community members and viewers can use to gigantify your emotes. And when they do this, the size of that inside the chat window will be 112 pixels by 112 pixels, which is why we're using this size. So, now that we know that, I'm going to tell you what to do next. You're going to want to double click on the project window to import some files, some B-roll that you would have made, or footage you want to use as an emote. It could even be a graphic in this case. Mine's going to be video. So I'm going to double click on this, and I've got my animated emote footage. So inside that, I got 3. I got this ready to rumble. I can welcome people in, or I could say like, what's going on? I'm going to click on all 3 and bring them in, or Control A, and then import. I'm going to import all these into my file. So for this case, let's use let's use the Ready to Rumble footage. You can check it out by double clicking inside After Effects, Z to zoom out, hold Alt, and I could just press spacebar to kind of check and see what the footage looks like, and that's the one that I want to use. Yeah, maybe we'll go with that. Looking pretty good. Oh man, this guy's ready for a fight. Cool. Then we have like the what happened emote, if we want to make that, right? So silly. And then welcome new people in, right? Just check that one out, see if that's for you. Okay, perfect. So like I said, we're going to go with Ready to Rumble. So to get there, we're going to click on Comp 1, double click, and then we're going to drag in Ready to Rumble. And you'll see that it looks kind of weird. And that's why we need to do some work. And that's the best part, right? That's the fun stuff. So pressing P to open up the position on the video file or the graphic that you're using, and then Shift S will open up the position and scale. Now what I want you to do is click on the keyframe on both of these, and then just drag that scale down so you can actually see the footage in a place that you're happy with, in a way that you like. So now that we have that, I'm going to start to work through the file a little bit and explain as I go. So I don't want this right away, so I'm going to click on the video footage or the graphic, and maybe that's the case you're using. I'm going to drag this till I want to see a start position. So there we go. He's looking good. He's ready to rock and roll. That is where I want to start my emote. Okay, cool. But it's a little bit small for me, so I'm going to go ahead and drag this. I'm going to click and drag and increase the size so I can actually see some of, like myself, as the person ready to rock and roll. And I'm going to drag through time, or I can press page up or down to navigate back and forth through the timeline. And I'm going to go ahead and get ready to rock and roll. So 1 second in, I'm doing a bit of a shimmy. Okay, cool. So I'm going to zoom out at this point. I'm going to zoom the file out a little bit, and I have to change the position, which is why we're keyframing everything. So I'm going to press V to make sure I'm dragging this around. Okay, nice and perfect with the position. Love that a lot. Let's do a little test. We're going to drag this through. There you go. So he's ready to rock and roll. Good. And then he kind of floats a little bit more, and right there we got to move the position again. There we go. And he's biting his lip like he's showing some emotion. So perfect. We're gonna zoom in and land right there. Okay, I love it. I love this. So if this is the emote that I want and life is good and that's what I want, there's a few things I'm gonna do to trim it up and clean up the file. First thing is this light gray area. That's called the work area. So I'm gonna click on this blue, the end area. I'm gonna drag it right to the very end. Not there, but 1 frame after. Perfect. That's what I want. I want it to be done right there. And that's our loop. So now I can kind of see what's going on, but there's some positional issues. I'm gonna clean that up right there. Like, how come that's not on his face, right? I want that up there. So I'm just holding shift just to keep my line straight, and I'm just changing the position. So far so good. So is that what I want? Oh, very nice. It's kind of quick and moving and pretty interesting. So we have an interesting emote. That's kind of what we want at the end of the day. Nice and interesting, okay? So Once I'm happy with all that, I'm then going to do something called easy ease and easy out keyframes. So I'm going to click and drag all the way across all these keyframes and press F9. F9 is going to change the shape of these keyframes and animate them in a way that's a little bit more smooth. So there we go. Right now he's got some movement, life is good, and the interesting emote is made. This guy's ready to rumble. It's actually that simple. If I was ready to at this stage and you're comfortable with that, you could send that off to Adobe Media Encoder and begin the process of rendering out your GIF. But I want to do a little bit more. So I know that I'm follically inept. I don't have much hair upstairs, and that's okay, but I play to my strengths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a effect called Optical Flares from Video Copilot. So this flare package allows me to add a little bit more shine to make the emote even that much more interesting at the cost of increased file size. So we're going to check to see what we can get away with when we're making these emotes. So I'm going to press Control Y to create a new layer. We're going to call this Lens Flare, okay? So Lens Flare, that's our layer. Background color is going to be black and everything's okay. I hit okay, we're good to go. Make sure you click on the Lens Flare layer. So Effect, Video Copilot, Optical Flares, and now it's going to apply a lens flare to it, but I can't see it. To change that, not a big deal. Just click on the render mode. Instead of on black, choose transparent. To make it look even more natural or part of the video, when you see the mode down here, if you don't see this, press F4 to toggle this back and forth. Click on the normal and add is what you want, add or screen. Change it to add or screen, whichever one you think is better. For me, I'm gonna go with add. And now I'm gonna click on position XY. So I'm gonna click on the position and choose where I want it to go. Right there. That's where I want my lens flare. Now if I want that to be a little bit bigger, I can change the brightness or scale. This lens flare, you don't even have to do it to your emotes. It's just what I'm going to do to jazz it up a bit. So I'm going to work through the process here quickly to kind of let you see how I would do that frame by frame, adding in some effects. Let's do it. I'm going to click on position XY and press page up and page down to move the position of that object on my head so it feels like moving through 1, 2, move, 1, 2, we move it, 1, 2, and that's it. I'm just going keyframe, frame by frame, and changing the position of that flare so that it's always on that bright hot bald spot on the head, because I think it's interesting, kind of funny, and why the hell not? Okay, so now that I'm all done, I have this animated lens flare now on top of my head, and as we watch this footage back, oh, he's super shiny, super bald. It's hilarious. So it kind of works, and it's a funny thing people can use. So the next step I want to do is I kind of want this thing to flicker a little bit. I want it to have some life. So if you're going to use the optical flare approach in your animated emotes, I'll show you how to do that step. You click on flicker, and then we're going to add the speed. So how fast do I want this thing to change the size? I want it to change 50, and then the amount can be 50 as well. And now you're going to see that it naturally just starts to flicker a little bit. Gets brighter, gets gleaming a little bit less over time. So I'm all set. I've added the effects that I want. I set my camera zooms in. Everything's looking good. If I wanted to, I could even add some blur to the whole project so that when we're moving in and out with that zoom, if it moved dramatically, I would have this free motion blur effect. So far so good. We're making the emotes. We've got the position and scale down. Life is good. I added in some lens flare effect. We're biting our lip. Life is good. From here is the next step. We're going to press Shift Control \\. We're going to go into our render queue. Once we're in our render queue, we're not going to touch any of this. We're going to go to the button called Q in AME, Q in Adobe Media Encoder. When I click on that, Adobe Media Encoder is going to launch and bring us into this interface. We're going to click on the type. So what kind of media are we going to make? In this case, the format is going to be animated GIF. In my case, it's the third in the dropdown. So inside this, there's a few things that we need to know. If you ever imported any sort of media that had audio, this GIF on Twitch will never have audio, so you can just deselect that. You never want that. Go through your effects video caption if you choose to make sure that these are sort of the settings that you want. Our base frame rate is 25. We got that from the source file. The field order is going to be progressive, and the aspect is square, because that's what Twitch needs. And there's no transparency, but if there was, we would allow transparency. So we're all set. We don't need maximum depth, and we're going to change the name. So I'll go over here, go to desktop, go to my animated footage. We're going to call this Barricade, right? So Cade_Rumble. And now we're all set, and I hit save, and that's it. Then we hit OK. Once we hit this green arrow, that's how we start the queue to change this from a whatever video we recorded in OBS to our animated GIF. And away we go. We can see it doing its job. It's converting from a temp project into our final GIF. Now, the next step you need to do is very important. Remember that we have thresholds that we have to hit. So look at your emote. When you click on it, you're going to see the file size. And this is 475 kilobytes. So it would work. Now, I'm going to show you an example of one that has a little bit more going on, and it may be a little bit too large for Twitch. And like, what can we do from that? And these following GIFs that are a bit more complex, they weren't fitting within the 1 megabyte requirement that Twitch has. So things like LFG, like let's go emote, right? That's fantastic. Or another example where I'm kind of sliding towards the screen with action lines. You've got debris elements, you've got some reflected light. All this stuff does increase the file size. So if you're finding that you're trying to create an animated emote for Twitch and the file size is too big, there's a bit of a cheat code that I was using to get below the 1 megabyte threshold that I had to be at. And so this is what I did. I'm going to zoom out. So again, you press Z to get your magnifying glass, hold Alt and left click to zoom out. And I want you to press V to get the arrow tool, or essentially get to here. So composition settings could be composition settings, Control K. And then when you're here, instead of going with whatever frame rate you are using, try to reduce this. So set the frame rate lower. A lower frame rate means less frames per second, so less duration of your emote. But you will be able to get all the things that you want. All you're going to want to do is probably manually get through some of these keyframes and all the files, or however you're positioning your logo. Just reduce that duration of the entire footage or the entire animation so that you're producing a smaller file in total. And by doing this, you should be able to make good, amazing, interesting emotes that you can use on your Twitch channel that are going to look fantastic when they're gigantified and exciting when your community members and viewers use them. And that's it. That's how I make my animated emotes on Twitch. I hope that this tutorial helps you. If you liked the video, let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions, I read them all. Take care. Thanks for making Twitch look better, and enjoy.